Governor's Park,
Got it.
down along.
Are we real live? Okay. We're gonna come, we just finished a
There's,
non-public,
there's.
and we're now, we're on recess. Now we're gonna continue our regular Dunbarton Board of Selectmen meeting for Thursday, August 8th. Time is now 7:13. All three selectmen are present. Recording secretary is present, office manager present, and members of the public. We have our police chief present, and recording for the benefit of the town is done.
Because
And
the vendor has a husband who's blind, he's shot
Okay.
today, so.
gentlemen, I have some minutes.
Well, you wanna do the first one, I'll do the other one.
I'll make it. Maybe I can-
Motion to approve the non-public minutes of July 25th, 2019, 6:30 PM. And I believe it just as they were written, I didn't see any changes.
David will second Bob's motion.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye. I'll make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of July 25th, 29 as amended.
Can put it in there, but.
I'll second that.
Well,
Any discussion on the regular minutes, gentlemen?
Nope, I just do it.
Hearing none, all in favor?
I did.
No, I was on one first.
you did, that's.
Exactly.
I can scribble just like you guys do.
What's your E for? What's the E for?
This one's for Bob.
Okay, I'm gonna open up for public comment. If you have a comment to say, please state your name for the record. I'll start in the back row. Donna? Sir, no? Sir, anything, public comment? No? Chief, public comment time? Okay. Okay, no public comment. I'll close public comment, bring it back to the board. We were gonna do a dedication of Boston Cane tonight, but the gentleman could not attend. Bob, he was, because of his condition, Dave had offered to maybe deliver it to him and actually offer it to him and make a visit to his home. How do we feel about that?
I don't have a problem with that, I think that probably work better, you know.
Okay, and then if he wants to come in at a future meeting, then we'll have him come in with the cane and,
Could you get a picture as you can give it to
I
us?
can.
Actually, if you know when, I can go with you and just take the
Okay,
picture.
Yeah, I'll give you a call.
okay. So
So
the,
let's, list that dedication, Mike, and who it's for.
it's, the Boston Cane we award to the oldest Dunbarton, the oldest citizen of Dunbarton, and Mr. Gerard Valgeron.
Yeah, on Montalona Road.
A neighbor of Dave. Okay, we have some unanticipated revenues for this year. First one is Primex Premium Holiday Credits for workman's compensation and property liability. And what that represents to the town, we have our employees that have been relatively healthy and safe, and so based on their claim rate, it's underutilized, so they give us a return on our investment. So it's a win-win back to the town. And so, do you have the checks in that amount, Lean?
I do, they're actually in the,
Do you wanna
actually,
make a motion,
Yep.
Mike?
wait a minute, you're talking about the
The-
workers' comp,
And property liability.
okay. You need to decide if you want credit towards 2020 billing, or do you want it as requested, or the directions say to request it in a check form? But it is unanticipated.
So in other words, we can get a credit towards next year's premiums, or just
Correct.
have a check sent to us. What would you rather have?
Either way is fine with me. If you wanna give it back to the voters this year, we can put it back in the, as checks into the general fund.
But the thing is, I'm leaning more towards credit for next year, because next year we have
Slight
issued.
increase.
Yeah, we have increases coming, and the thing is, we have the property values for the utilities may hit us,
Yeah,
Mhm.
reval,
and so I'd like to put it in next year's budget.
Okay, let's do that. I'll make it part of the motion.
And actually, well, you actually make a motion, then we can speak on it.
Okay.
Okay. I'll make a motion per RSA 31:95-B, Roman numeral 3, paragraph B, to accept unanticipated revenues from Primex premium holiday credits for workers' compensation in the amount of $15,1073, and property and liability in the amount of $1179.21.
Second.
Open for discussion now, further discussion.
Seeing as it is unanticipated and we didn't, I don't think we got much from them last year.
We got a little bit, it was
Yeah,
probably
was it?
around that same amount, but we took it as if, in the form of a check, so it increased our surplus.
I think applying it as a credit just reduces that amount that we have to worry about funding later on. Either way, it's coming out of the same pocket, so.
Cause these bills have already been paid,
Right.
so they're
right.
saying they can't hold on to it, or they could reduce our, premium for next year.
Now, is it smart to let them hold our money for the year or put it back in our account?
Yeah, it's such a small amount, I think it's just put it as credit towards next year.
I will note it in our budget that there was a premium credit applied to the bill, so that we
We
know
can see it.
in 2021 that there was some
We don't
reduction
lose it
based
for
on.
some reason.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in agreement with that.
I'm gonna call the vote, then all in favor?
Aye.
All right, now we also have, some old home day vendor donations. And, the thing is, these are for the table and some of the fees they charge on old home day. And, I'd like to, possibly, they're getting tight in the operating budget. I'd like to make sure we, instead of putting it in general revenue, I'd like to make sure maybe we can put it into their operating budget for this old home day event. So I'm gonna make a motion that we discuss it. So for per RSA 31:91-B, paragraph 3B, I'd like to make a motion to accept the old home day vendor donations in the amount of $300. And I'd like to take that money and possibly put it into the old home day operating budget.
Mike, you stated the RSA wrong.
Okay? I'll restate. You sure?
Yeah, he said 91, it's not
Ah.
95.
I'll stand corrected. Per RSA 31:95-B.
I'll second your motion, but remove the possibility part.
Okay. Exactly. Okay, fair enough.
I have no problem with putting it back in the old home day fund.
Yeah, I don't either.
Okay.
And just so it's clear, per the auditor's recommendation, if in the event they do not spend it, it's just an automatic lapse into the general fund, so it's not something that I could carry
Yep.
from year to year.
Now, I got that from the town administrator that they are running a little bit tight.
Yeah, they only have about $400 left of their budget, if all the bills that they're expecting come in, and this is money that they raise from
Vendors.
vendors that will
Okay.
have tables at this.
Then all in favor? Aye. Okay,
Can I ask you to add one more?
go ahead. You got some more money?
Don Larson just opened up the mailbox and, there were 2 checks in there.
Very
And
nice.
he'd like to make sure that you guys accept it so that he can deposit it into their checking account. We have one from, for $125 and one for $50. And the one for, $125 has a 1-to-3 match. So we'll get an additional
Down the road.
from
Okay.
this person's, business company, so.
Okay, then for RSA 31:95, paragraph 99.3 Bravo, I'd like to accept the donation of $175 for the REITs across Dunbarton.
Oh, second.
Second, okay, so. And any further discussion on this, it's gonna be a matching gift, so we're gonna get another 125 for that probably. So that's good, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Lean, you have the copy, you have these checks now?
Yeah, that's actually for me, yep.
Thank you. Okay. I just want to say thank you to the gentlemen, to my fellow colleagues. We had an early meeting, just for the record, we had an early meeting today to discuss some planning board issues that came up. So that's why we started non-public earlier. And that's why we're a little delayed in getting going at this meeting tonight. And thank you gentlemen for coming in early, and the support staff, of course, too. Okay, got mailbox items. We got just interesting material on utility, electronic transmissions. This is from the contractor who represented us. And just a reading material, it is confidential.
I do have to ask the board to discuss it briefly without much information. So the attorney's written to the Board of Assessors, this is a Board of Assessors function. In the past, your board, along with the Board of Assessors, have met in non-public to discuss the handling of these appeals of utilities. And where they're so close to settling, they're asking for a unified front, basically, from all the communities that are involved with this, to allow them to speak on our behalf. So I have met with two of the Board of Assessors, I didn't reach the third one, but they are both in agreement to.
So you have a majority already?
I have majority to allow them to speak on our behalf.
Earlier
and-
this week, when I read that in full, I already sent Lean an email stating that settlement negotiations were fine by me.
Yep. But as I think Lean said, it's not really our call, it's the assessors.
Right, and this is time sensitive, they have to have an answer from the towns before the
I think we're,
15th.
But I think we should support it.
yes, I think selectmen are fully supportive of that. And for the members of the public, it has to do with, our assessments regarding our utility poles in town with the electric company. And, it's an ongoing battle of how much we can tax them and how much we can depreciate, and it gets convoluted. But, we're part of a group of towns that fight together to get the maximum value for the town of Dunbarton. Okay, gentlemen, we have a Primex report of injury, this is an FYI only. Okay. And Dan, I'm gonna talk about your email, I think is, I'll let you talk to it, but regarding dog licensing.
Wait, I think we're down to 5 now. Oh, you mean as far as notifications? Is that what you mean?
And I just wanna say, you shared with me earlier this week, I want you to share with the rest of the board how many we have left, where you started and where you started
I
from.
think the last count was 5. We had 159 when we started, somewhere around there.
Okay,
And we're down to 5 that haven't paid. When we got the final list from the warrant, we reached out to everybody. Some people who we knew, we reached out by text, others got phone calls, and if we couldn't find a phone number, we reached out with a letter. But everybody got a notification from us. That goal is to just get the dogs registered and not take anybody to court to do it.
okay.
So, yeah, that was my goal that night too, and I wanted to know how we were notifying people, and, I didn't get clear answers back until Chris responded, I think, that night later, so.
So I say kudos to basically the town clerk and you for working together and getting this done. So please express kudos to your department, Laura, who was doing the majority of the work, I understand. Okay. Okay, everyone got this card? It's coming up on the 17th. Old Home Day,
We did,
okay.
ice cream.
2 o'clock ice cream. Dave's giving it out, I'll be supervising Dave. He likes to have extra, he likes to have one for you and one for him. So
Half gallon each, run.
Dave's got a big scoop, so everybody's gonna be happy.
Hey, you know, I think people were shocked. People were coming up last year for seconds. Can I have seconds? They said, yeah, no problem. And then some people were coming up and not wanting to pay. I said, you know, go ahead, pay. It was a lot of fun last year. All right, DOT, block grant. We're gonna get a little more for our block grant than we got last year, so we got a little more unanticipated revenue, so that's good for our block grant, this is for highway block grant. Jeff will be happy with it. Make sure he gets a copy of that.
Yep.
We have an upcoming opioid education awareness and Narcan training at the public library, which will be presented by our police departments on Bernard. And it will be September 19th, 6:30 to 8 PM. This is on the
Yep.
the website?
It is.
Okay, excellent.
She wanted us to sign that in the meeting, I think.
All right, these are just poll license,
Replacements of the poles.
yep. Maintenance.
Telephone poles, I think, right, or power poles?
No, these are power, I believe. Public service, Eversource, these are power. Okay. Sign here.
We're gonna sign
There should be
for
3
everything
copies of
on
it.
3 copies? Okay.
Yep.
And, oh, this is 6. Is it, they want 6 of them?
No, sometimes do have 5.
Sign it next one, we'll get to Bob then.
Absolutely. That'll be easy. Okay, Fred, you're up. We got an email from you regarding permulating. Perambulating.
By ambulation.
I didn't know I was up.
No, the thing is, we acknowledge your email, and you're gonna be meeting here, and there's gonna be, you have a little contingent going, I understand.
Yes.
And you went,
Half the town.
yeah, and I thought, your humor was so noted in the email about the mosquitoes carrying everyone off.
Yeah. Hopefully they're going down a little bit by then.
And for the public, what is perambulating? Let me get that correct. It's just, basically, it's
It's a stroll through.
It's a
the
walk.
forest.
stroll through the forest to make sure the lines between our abutting towns are correct.
Right.
Property lines.
Make sure they haven't moved since 1851.
Exactly. Okay, this is, again, gentlemen, we all signed, this is about the check for Holly, extra pay. Okay, is the meeting going on for the Port Home Day right now?
It is.
Okay, could you take a moment, Lee, and just talk about Woody had a
I
concern?
did, I already sent it to them.
Okay, just, Woody, said something nice about it, it was, Old Home Day, they didn't talk about trash cans, and he brought it to our attention, and Lee has subsequently taken it to the attention of the committee. Yep. And just to let you know, we have a new, town truck with a seat in it that works. And it's getting, essentially, a snow plow installed, and the second truck, the Mack truck, is, continuing some maintenance on it. And there's a couple, just to let everyone know, the solar project, I've been down there this week, solar project they have engaged. We'll leave it at that. And we have, these are some disapprovals we have to sign. Our town administrator will be out, who'll be covering for you while you're out, Lee?
So this, meeting request happens to fall on a Thursday and Friday that the board doesn't meet on Thursday. But I don't return until the Thursday that you do meet, so I may or may not make that meeting. And if I'll make sure that the office is prepared to have everything in order for you.
Okay.
Yeah, you may not wanna come back.
If it's as pretty as I hear.
And we also have some, I wanna let you talk to this, a
That's-
budget reconciliation.
I met with, my CPA that's been assisting me with, financing. We actually reconciled through June, but I found an error on his June report, so I'm holding off on that one. And then I actually have the May one, but the treasurer likes to sign off by comparing my cover sheet with her report, and I was omitting one of her report, so I just attached it, it's in her basket, so we'll have that next time.
I'm not gonna ask for signatures tonight, I'll let the selectmen take a look at it this week, and sometime before the next meeting, decide before next meeting, is that a problem?
No, not at all.
Okay, so, we'll just defer that.
Put it in your bag. That's what usually happens. That's what usually happens.
All right, we're gonna have a workshop meeting, just a reminder, August 21st, this has been posted already,
It has, both on the website, out on the board,
okay?
and I've provided the board with a fresh white copy of the draft personnel manual that we've adopted. I made a couple, minor grammatical things that I noticed. And I also provided the board with a history, for a quick review of, past amendments. So if you want to, anything that's recent, like in December, we added the winter maintenance, that's been added in red here.
The meeting on the 19th,
21st,
21st,
21st, okay, the same day as we're meeting, right?
Wednesday.
Wednesday. And then I made some
It's 2
recommended
p.m.
changes that are in red.
Chief, you had something, that you were very minor, you wanted to point out into the
Yeah,
personnel plan.
I have his note
Okay.
in my file.
Okay, I want to remind, I don't wanna lose sight of that. Okay. My inbox is almost empty. August calendar is available, haven't seen it. Okay, I'm gonna open it for public comment. Back row, no? Fred? No.
Question for Dave. The steel exterior door on the police car. Down at the bottom, there's a plastic weather strip that goes, slides in and clips up. Can you buy just replacement weather strips? Okay, where would I buy something like that?
I think we'll have our new guy buy it and install it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can have.
Cause you'll have to take the door
off.
off the hinges and install it
It
properly.
just okay, yeah, because it just kind of fell off.
Is that the
Keep
one-
clipping it back up and it's finally
Is that the
broken.
one that's, which one now?
The main door,
The main door to the police
yes, to the
department?
police department, yeah.
Okay,
We have a guy doing some odds and ends for us.
And he's been, thumbs up on him, he's been doing great work,
So why don't we have him replace that one lane and,
make it happen.
If he's feeling ambitious, if he wants a plane the door going between the lobby and the office room, it'll stop sticking on the rug.
we can do that as well.
yeah,
Absolutely, yeah.
he fixed my doors in the back,
This one
they're
has,
beautiful.
the hinge is it's a spring hinge, so.
Just coordinate that with Lean, because it's a small amount of dollars, and she's,
And-
keeping busy, there's a lot of little stuff in town, nickel and dime stuff that has to be done.
I got a couple of things like that. with it.
That's
I
an
like a lot.
interior door?
Yeah, it's an interior
Okay.
door. I have two interior doors that they'd be planed on the bottom, that would really help.
Just recently, in the fire department, he basically, there was a trip hazard, if you recall, as we went there.
Yeah.
He basically ground that down and eliminated the trip hazard.
The
And he put it-
concrete?
Yeah, and filled it, yeah,
Nice
and then he
doors.
installed the handle.
The handrail going downstairs.
If you could think of, if you look at your office and you think of 4 or 5 items, if you want, just email them to Lean.
Yeah, we'll
While
get it all.
he's there, it'd be more cost effective
They're
to do
calling him
it.
for Al for every little one.
You're right.
Yeah, makes
Yeah.
sense, okay.
That sounds good.
Anything so far, we've been, as I said, he's done good work.
Is he licensed in any of the trades, or he's
Um,
gonna do, I mean, is he an electrician, or is he a plumber, or anything
No,
like that?
no. He does minor things, but it mostly carpentry and repairs.
Okay, just wanted to know what the focus was.
Okay, bring it back to the board. Dave, I'll let you go first.
I have gotten a hold of Jeff Trexler, he just got back from vacation.
Mm-hmm.
And spoke with him at length today about the town hall, told him we'd like to wrap that up by the end of the year. He did do some extensive research on the town hall, as far as the roof goes and the structure. To make a long story short, he has not come up with an accurate solution, and one of the reasons he hasn't been able to apply wood is, he's found that 2 of the support rafters that come down are on either side of the chimneys that we have going up through the roof. And so even the application of the steel that the other guy did was incorrect, because you couldn't apply them to both sides of the beam. So he's working on that, and the problem he's having is the king posts and the ceiling joists and the rafters and the support beams are all different sizes, so they have different depths, and a lot of them have twisted. So he's not coming up with accurate shims and or piece of wood that he can do in there. He may have thought of a solution, and he's gonna work on the numbers of putting brackets down to support the roof system that would be below the ceiling, but try and make them decorative so that it's not trying to be applied to 4 different size beams up above, especially where the chimneys come through 2 portions of the building and don't allow you to sister anything on either side of the beams. So he does not have a solution at hand, but he hopes to have one very shortly. He's done all of his calculations and all of the sizing and engineering for it, and is working on it.
Tell him thank you on behalf of the board. Appreciate his work on that, very sincerely, because I know what he's doing it for.
Yeah.
So, that's great work. All right, Bob, Davey, I'm sorry, you done?
Yeah,
Bob, you?
Okay, well, I'll start with, I met with Woody at the transfer station to do with, you know, the fencing and everything. I mentioned the cables to him, and he had some concerns, I guess he'll talk to you, Dave, but I think that's, the cable, you know, and the stiles and.
I'll send one down to Lean.
Okay, you had, so.
So I brought these, and right here on the cover, if you look, they have the aluminum support posts and the
Yeah.
guide wires, and for the public, we're looking at putting a small rail up so that kids can't fall into the dumpsters at the dump. They have about 1 foot of concrete on one end and 1.5 feet on the other end. And we're talking about making it at least 3 feet tall so that we don't have anybody falling into the dumpsters and creating a liability for the town. And we were trying to think of something that looks desirable but yet easy to maintain. And these pieces here are pre-drilled every 3 inches, so they meet code, because you can't have over 4 inches of space. And these can be drilled down into the concrete with 2-part epoxy and actually be stronger than bolts that are in the concrete already. And fastened so they can be removed and reinstalled or fixed or repaired at any time. And so that's the application that I think we should try and get some pricing on.
Oh, so it can slip out when we wanna slip them out.
Slip them out when you wanna slip them out or take them off. See how you have the main tube and these ones
Yep.
slide off, right, so,
Can we leave one of these in Woody's basket?
yes, I brought all of these, sir, you can have this one too, Dave.
Are they all different?
Nope, they're all the same.
Okay, all right.
So you guys can keep one in your record, and I think maybe, we'll get a price from, the fence company and from our guy that we're using to install these down the length of it.
Right, cause these are pretty simple to do.
You're
Simple.
talking about our maintenance guy?
Yep.
Cool, okay.
And now the height on them are gonna be a standard height, like 39 inches, but if we determine we only need 2 feet worth, you just cut them off to the height you want, and put the cap
Right.
on.
Really
I
flexible.
would like to see that they're not taller than we need to by code, so it doesn't, impede
People throwing stuff in.
putting stuff in. And also keeping the town from any liability if we can. Now, there are 2 sections, Lean. One before the,
Where the swap shop is and the open container is?
well, I would say there's 2 sections to each side. One is where the compactor is. If they could price the left and the right side separate so we can see
Oh, from the, behind the
Yes.
compactor.
behind the compactor and front.
I'm with you there. Woody will be out next week. I'm sorry.
And if he has some issues with it, I'll stop by and check with him.
Okay, so that was one issue, and he talked about changing the entryway. And, reason, I guess it was hit a few times. I don't think that makes a big detriment to getting in and out though, because it works, functions well. And that was an expense, but part of that has just bushes in the front. And according to the Department of Environmental Services, I guess I wrote it down, I said recommended, but their code is you should have fencing there. So that's where 3 sections of fencing, by
Chain
their code should go in,
Chain link.
Chain link. But I don't know if you wanna change the opening, cause I went the other day and there was a car coming out and I went in my truck and it was
It seemed fine.
wide enough, So maybe it's something down the road, quite a ways down the road,
I think,
that
I
we
think
might
that-
wanna look
I
at.
think that as far as the gates, I think we should, maybe paint them again. Have they been maintaining them themselves down there? Or
I think so.
I
you
don't
wanna
know.
just continue that, or do you wanna have somebody actually paint them?
Again, that'd be a good job for a guy there.
Sandblast it and then
Would
paint
you
it.
do it? Or even sand it down if he doesn't have the same light?
It's not that big, just, just rough it up.
So that's that part. I talked to Jeff tonight about the stop sign, so hopefully that gets rectified. And the other, a lot of these things bug me because they've been going on for a long time. The other one is the library roof. When the snow melted, Mary found 2 full shingles that weren't there before it snowed, so they must have come from somewhere and probably from the roof. And we've asked for it to be examined, and the roofer hasn't bothered to respond yet. I know it was built on his integrity and servicing, but we're not seeing any servicing, so that kinda irritates me. But I talked to Mary, and she could make some signs to put outside that just warns people of a potential of possibly falling slate, and I say that because we brought this up at this meeting several times. If something happens and we don't have anything there to warn people, they're gonna say, you knew that there was a potential hazard. So, to me, it would make sense to at least have some kind of warning that there might be an event. And not that there would be, but,
Thing is, where's she gonna put them?
well, there's signs that say no parking right in front of the building around there, and this is all gonna be occupied. So at least she could put the sign to the front of that,
I don't have any problem with her putting the sign down.
I think that's true.
What is it?
It's not that
Last
something would
response?
happen, but if something happens, and somebody says, hey,
We
you
didn't do
guys
anything
knew
there,
about
but
it,
we
you
didn't do
didn't do anything,
I think a sign is a minimal type thing.
What is his last response to you, Lean?
He picked up the phone and said that he was working on trying to get something scheduled. I did send him an email again today, and I explained that even if he had to inspect it and it needed some repairs, that there's not enough time between today and Old Home Day, that he could finish the job and do it properly, so I'm waiting for a response back from him, and I did
Okay.
CC you on that email.
All right.
I'd say temporary signs might be, as a temporary measure is all right, well. That's how we do it. You wanna give Mary a call, Lean, on that one?
I'll send her an email, yeah.
Please.
So those are all my complaints for this week.
How you missed it?
Concerns was.
What's that?
Grapevine, or no, Tenny Hill Road?
Tenny Hill Road.
Yeah,
We talked about that.
yeah, I talked to Jeff, and
Okay.
supposedly, that's gonna get rectified, so.
Okay, good.
No, while we're on that, before we go there, they also have these, are a little bit different railings, these are, it's a metal with a pre-baked finish on it. So they have those available too, and both of those rails are in stock over there at, A&B Lumber.
I'd say whatever work. This one, I like the fact you can just cut it to customize it.
Yeah.
This one doesn't look as customizable. Interesting. Okay.
The only thing is the maintenance, you know,
Yeah,
when.
those
there's a
other ones
little-
are stainless steel too,
Right.
yeah.
This has a little more maintenance.
Okay, Lean, to you, if you have anything for the group?
Nope, I already brought it up earlier about board assessments, that's all I had.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have one non-public tonight, so I'm gonna ask you to turn the camera off and exit. And we'll take a quick 1-minute recess. And Chief,